We're going live today. We're going live. Make sure that I get everything all set up right now because this is crazy. What we are just now witnessing. Um Nick, Nick Saban's gone. Nick Saban's gone. It is it is official that Nicholas Saban, old Saint Nick, is gone. And I'll be honest, it is a weird feeling to know that he's gone. And you may ask, well, why? Why is that? Why do you feel weird? You are a fan of a college football team that is in the Southeastern Conference. And to that, I answer you are correct. Um, Let me make sure that our camera is still chugging along. I'm having some difficulties with the whatever it's called. Let me make sure everything else is good before we go live. Okay. Yeah, you may ask, well, why do you feel weird about Nick Saban going? And to be honest, it's a weird feeling because the guy, he has been ingrained in what I knew college football was for God knows how long. We're talking about a guy that ever since I was a fan was up in just a like beating Nick Saban was basically everyone's season. That's just what it was. You either didn't beat Nick Saban or you somehow snuck into the playoffs, and that's that. And now the entire landscape of college football has changed. I think the timing is interesting. I think the fact that we're not even 48 hours from college football ending as a season. I mean, it really doesn't end, to be honest. And we'll dive into that. Originally for the show, we were supposed to talk about Michigan and their national title and the state of college football, but the state of college football in of itself has changed. It has changed to a level that is unprecedented. I know I missed a syllable there, but everything that we knew about college football has changed because of Nick Saban going. He is officially retired. He is the greatest coach of all time. There should not be a debate about it. Same thing with Tom Brady. There should not be a debate on whether or not he is the greatest at what he does. You can make an argument in collegiate sports in general. He's the greatest ever. And you know what? I'm probably with that train as well, just because of the level of dominance that he had. Enjoy retirement, Nick. I mean, we'll dive into it when we get into the state of college football, but I don't blame you for leaving with the state of college football that it's in right now. I think this is more about the direction the sport is going than Nick not wanting to compete or continue this job. And I really think the door is wide open. I mean, it is wide open for who could come in. And it's weird because when you have these groundbreaking, monumental jobs, what is your expectation for the next guy? I mean, it's the same thing with Coach K at Duke. At what point do you start having those expectations that you've grown so accustomed to? And then you place it on this guy who foundationally, there's a fantastic program. Everything you could ask for is there. You've seen national titles and playoff runs on a yearly basis. And so if you are someone who is in the hiring process or a student or anybody within that organization, you know what the standard of excellence is. It's the same thing that I'm going to bring it back to Caleb Williams we had a conversation about Caleb Williams and Daniel Jones, and why New York Giants fans, and trust me, we're gonna get there to the point, but Giants fans were so quick to give up on Daniel Jones, while Justin Fields fans in Chicago are holding on still. Now, I think a good majority of them have accepted that Caleb is probably going to be their quarterback of the future, but for a good substantial amount of time, they are still holding on. I think it's because Giants fans have a standard of excellence. Now, whatever your thoughts are on Eli Manning, that it is what it is. But they know what it's like to get to a Super Bowl, if not multiple ones. They know what a 4,000 career passer is like. So this is not a job that someone's going to walk into and like, what is the grace period for a job like this, especially with the amount of talent that is on the roster right now? This is objectively, based on recruiting websites, one of the most talented rosters of all time. Obviously, disappointing season, you lose in the semifinal round, but one of the most important, influential guys in the sport is gone. You have to fill somewhat of those shoes. Like, no one's expecting a Nick Saban to just walk into the door at the age of, 40? But what is your expectation? Like, we're going into the 12-team playoff. We'll dive deep into what college football looks like in the future and what this person is really stepping into. But I do want to make it very clear. Shout out to Nick Saban. Enjoy your retirement. Listen, man, this is like when Kobe retired for me, and God rest his soul. Miss you every single day, Kobe. But like, just, you have this weird feeling of just this momentous, influential figure is gone. And what a way to break in, rush the field. This show is originally supposed to be on Thursdays. You are welcome to join in. This mainly is for any newcomers. This is supposed to be an open forum. I'm trying to build a community here, talking about college football. No biases here, unless it's for A&M. Just kidding. I'm not even going to try to say there's no biases, because everyone has biases. This is honestly mainly for, if you want to talk college football with me, I'm going to have an email open for our next episode. Send an email, talk college football, talk NFL with me. This is really just something that I want to dive into as we get into 2024. Just do spontaneous live streams. We'll try to have a goal for every Thursday at 5 p.m. That's what I want it to do. But I mean, with Nick Saban retiring, God, how could I not click the live stream button today? But go ahead and follow me on all socials. It's the same tag. This background that you see behind me is going to change. I had to throw something on quick, and just really excited for the future of this. And we're going to go for about an hour or so. Sometimes we're going to ramble on. Sometimes I'm going to bring guests on. This is just we're going to figure it out as we go. But if you like hearing what I got to say, if you're coming from TikTok, if you hear anything else, shoot a sub, shoot a comment, really. That's what I really care for. I want to hear what your thoughts are, and we can go back and forth as the show progresses. We are in episode 1, so really have no expectations of this going forward. I honestly was expecting tomorrow to really dive into Michigan and their championship and where is college football at right now. And I will say, I do think we'll get into Michigan and we'll get into what I just said. But I do think Nick Saban retiring is a symbolization of what college football is going towards. And I think I'm going to flip the topics, because I'm going to make a theory. I think what college football is at right now suffocated Nick Saban's will or ability to continue coaching. He's an older guy. I'm not going to avoid that. But I will say this, that we're talking about a coach that has seen every iteration of college football possible, has won at every iteration of college football, had dynasties all throughout. I mean, let's not act like yes, he has been dominant since 2009. And we're like, it's 15 years of just pure, utter dominance. And that doesn't even include what he was able to do at LSU. And we don't talk about Miami. But just to paint the picture of how many different things have changed within the sport. And from the lens of a college football head coach, what they would think of it, and at his age, would he want to continue coaching in a climate like this? And what I point to is 2014 when the college football playoff was introduced. We are looking at a sport that at the time you had the Pac-12. Pac-12 still existed. It was still here. That has now been dispersed to the Big Ten, ACC, and the Big 12. Now you may think that doesn't really impact me, but that also coincides with what directly impacts him. Texas and Oklahoma joining his conference. I mean, let's be honest, it's always been Nick Saban's conference. If you want to argue Kirby Smart for the past couple of years, you can do that. But if you've been dominating the SEC West like you have with consistent coaching, I think you own the SEC, Nick Saban, or you owned, which heartbreaks me to say. So we talk about conference realignment. You have the playoff system and the hyperfixation of it's playoff or bust. So the stakes and the expectation, though, for Alabama in this sense is always been that it's been championship or bust because of what Nick Saban's been able to do. You have that in play. So then we move on to the transfer portal. And these are the aspects and what I'm getting to. This is where I think the gears start to grind, that retirement became more and more viable for someone like Nick. And the transfer portal and NIL, they coincide with each other and overlap many times. They're two separate things. People like to create them as equals or cause and effect of each one another. But let's just objectively look at the fact that Saban went from you recruit the kid, you develop them, they don't work out, they sit on the bench, and maybe sometimes they hop in the transfer portal if they really want to wait that year. I mean, just think about it. For at least a decade, he had running backs, just one position group, where guys would wait 4 years, 4 whole years for their opportunity to be the starting running back at Alabama. And then they go get drafted. I think of guys like Bo Scarborough, Najee Harris, and many others. Now those guys don't wait. And why should they? Because if they have the opportunity to automatically get better playing time and get in front of more eyes, they leave. I mean, just look at what happened after they lost the semifinal game. You have guys just leave and hop in the transfer portal. It is such a big lift and responsibility for these head coaches that what else are they supposed to do but just try to manage it, become the CEO? And you have NIL. And that's another aspect that he has verbalized and complained about many, many times publicly, that funding's not enough, or this, that, and the third, that he has not been able to get what he has wanted from NIL, but he's still recruited at this level. And maybe if from Nick's perspective, I'm excited to hear what he has to say. He's probably going to hop on TV from time to time, but just what was his expectations? Because I feel like his formula that he was used to, recruit at a high level, bring in the coordinators, the system that he had just is not good enough anymore. It wasn't good enough this year. And is it going to be good enough in the 12-team playoff? Another thing that is changing in 2024. All these different things have changed. If you're telling a fan or Nick Saban in 2014, where the sport's going, bowl games are dying, players are opting out. What would they react to that in 10 years' time? Now, obviously, if you tell Nick Saban, well, you're going to win this many championships, you're going to go to the playoff damn near every year, you're going to have one of the greatest college football seasons in 2020, which I'm sure that took a toll on him. But you look around and you start to say, well, do I want to continue down this path if college football is starting to form and evolve into the state of our calendar? And I say our because, this sport is so collaborative. The calendar in college football is broken. I mean, I've watched Josh Pate discuss this in detail, and I don't think it's been talked about enough, so I'm going to echo it. It's just It's not sustainable for a head coach. There's a reason why head coaches are leaving, retiring now, because the workload is so high. The expectations are so high. And the risk is not outpaying the reward. Or the risk is heavier than what the reward is going to provide. Yes, you can win the national title. Yes, you can revamp a program. Yes, you can make so much money. We just saw a coach get bought out for $72 million. But why did he get bought out? It's because he did not bring them a national title. He was not getting the job done. Versus the NFL, where, like, listen, like, I don't want it to be understated. Like, I have friends that work in this industry. It's not just the head coaches. Everyone is suffering from the schedule of dealing with transfer portals, dealing with the recruiting schedule on top of that, dealing with all these different aspects that have been added on top of a schedule that was already broken. And you are now being asked to be the CEO. And Nick Saban, like, has even told us, like, he has not been able to be impacting the defensive backs and coaching that, because it could be that he's ready to move on from that part of his life, but maybe he's just not able to. Like, he was Superman for Alabama. Like, there's no way around it. He was Superman. And I think the sport suffocated him with the state that's in. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see guys like Dabo Swinney start to wave the white flag, and the fact that he hates the transfer portal, he refuses to do it, and it's making the program suffocate. And some people may be just blind to the fact that they could say, well, figure it out. And to that, I say, just look around. Like, the highest profession, the top of the league, NFL, they got it figured out, man. They have set schedules where these guys are supposed to work. It is 24/7, 52 days a week, 365 days a year for college football. There's no break. You maybe get a week in the summer, and that is it. That's ridiculous. That is insane that we are still working on this outdated schedule. And once again, the NCAA is continuing to fail this sport. And now, a sixth sport, we're starting to see the symptoms moving forward. Now, to put some light to it, because we're pivoting off the Nick Saban thing. We are. College football has a chance to figure this out. I think objectively, they are going to be able to figure this out. And the reason why I say that is college football cannot continue like this. And I think the money and the people in power with that money know that. They understand it. They understand that you cannot have a 62-3 bowl game and slap MasterCard or whatever program or advertisement is sponsoring this bowl game. You just can't have these blowouts every single year, and this is what you're going to get, because they're putting too much money into it just for their bowl game to have 50% of opt-outs. Like, a lot of people don't understand that, like, these guys are investing into a game that people will watch so that they can promote this brand. I understand it's corporate America. You can have your thoughts on it, but it is just how it's going to work. And to be honest, it's what's going to help college football, because honestly, me talking to a microphone, the people in power talking to microphones, like, or the people in power versus what me, a fan of the sport, I have no influence on changing what college football, other than reiterating my thoughts and trying to start a wildfire, get this thing going. And in all honesty, those advertisers are the ones that got the power of this. Objectively, that's what they got. And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing that you or anyone else can really change without just voicing that frustration. Because objectively, that's what we have to do, is just at least say something, because coaches are tired of it. Fans are tired of it. Players, do not blame players for the transfer portal. They are playing the rules of the game that has been set before them. They are taking advantage of it because they should. Doesn't mean the system isn't broken. The system is broken. It should be fixed. But do not blame the players because they are taking advantage of it and they have someone in their ear saying, hey, you can come play for me. And they get the rug pulled underneath them, and now they don't have a home for college football. Or they're being told, you should hop in the portal because we're not going to play you here. They hop in the portal and never play college football again. Or maybe they have someone in their ear saying, we're going to give you 6 figures to go play at this school, and they hop in and go feed their families. Like, do not blame the players because of the rules that are already broken and they are playing the game. It's unfair to those players. And with that to say, to close that chapter, because we're 20 minutes in, I could see this show going about 45 minutes, if not an hour, because it's just very much, we're getting our feet wet here. State of college football is not sustainable. The calendar is not sustainable. NIL, the way that it is not sustainable. The transfer portal, the way that it is not sustainable. And I'm not going to just put directly on Nick Saban's shoulders that those things are what caused him to retire, because he could have just been done with the sport. But I don't think it helped. And we have now lost one of the most influential guys in the sport. Obviously, as a fan of someone that is a rival to him, I'm happy I don't have to deal with him. But then again, I'm also sad that the rules of the sport and where we're going is pushing some of the legends and the great ones out. And that's not where I want it to go. I want him to retire because he's done. And part of analyzing this is I think the sport made him done. The rules pushed him over the edge to say, I'm done with the sport. I'm retiring. Enjoy retirement, Nick Saban. And I am praying that this sport gets better, because I think we deserve better. I think college football, second to European soccer, is the most passionate sports, and specifically in North America, the most passionate fans that you will find. More than NFL, more than MLB, and more than any other major sport in America, college football rivals second to none. And we deserve better than what we've been getting over the past couple of years. And it might happen sooner than you realize. With that, let's pivot real quick and talk about Michigan real quick. Shout out to Michigan. I mainly just want to talk about this as I take a sip of some good old body armor. Hey, sponsor me. You know, even just send me a case of like the flavors you're not selling the most. I'm speaking directly to body armor because it's going to be a clip. Just send me a case, because, you know, for me, justifying spending $22 on a major case, I'll do it because it tastes fantastic. But outside of that, I'll just take a flavor. The strawberry grape is fantastic. There, you get your little ad read for today. But let's move and pivot towards what Michigan did on Monday, because we are now 48 hours from college football offseason. I'm taking that from Josh Pate. I just love the fact that we're scared to talk about the offseason. Yeah, I mean, Michigan beats Washington. The game was close for about a half. I think that 2-minute drill that Washington pulled off really started to make you feel, okay, we got a game here. But to be honest, you really did feel like it never truly was in doubt. I never really I never really feared that Michigan was going to lose this game. It was like pulling teeth to get first downs for Washington. I just never really felt like Washington could string along big games or big gains and big plays together. You had the seam route that was missed on either Penix or I think Odunze. A lot of penalties from big plays were taken back. I mean, just every single time you felt like the ball was rolling, it got stopped. And I think that's a credit to what Michigan was able to do defensively. JJ McCarthy, just a guy that I think has playmaking upside, but right now for that team is just a game manager. Michigan wins their first national title since 1997. Congratulations. They deserve all the love. If you want to talk about the cheating allegations, I don't care. honestly, listen, I can't be a Houston Astros fan and then criticize Michigan. I will wait to see if the NCAA takes away the title, and knowing their timing, they're probably going to wait another 10 years to do so. Then they can do that. I don't really care because, to be honest, it's the same logic I put towards the Astros. And yes, I am biased. Is everyone did it. There's proof that everyone did it. Maybe not to the extent that Michigan did it, but I don't believe Michigan against Washington was sign stealing. And I honestly think they were the best team in the country because of their talent and their execution and their ability to play together as a team. And that defense is insane. I mean, we're going to talk a lot of draft on this. Obviously, we're going to talk about some NFL today, but it's going to be like college football first type of show. But we're going to slide some NFL in there because I do love talking about the draft, and that's going to be the focus of this show a lot as we go into it. But, I mean, it's really hard to like just deep dive into what made Michigan so great. But other than the fact that they got the job done, I remember when the cheating scandal came to light. Not fully, but was being discussed. And I just remember these are the moments, or these are big allegations to where a team either crumbles or bands together. And through every single time, every single test leading up to this, it was like the football gods wanted to make this road outside of what you saw on the field, but externally as loud as possible. And they banded together. And I got to give a lot of credit to the leaders on that team, the seniors. They deserve it. I would say Jim Harbaugh, but like he was gone for 6 games, and I really want to put a credit to the seniors for being able to band this together and truly make something special for Michigan that they've been looking for since 1997, guys. And then I think there's a whole scandal with that where people are like, it's not 1997. I don't care. But congratulations to Michigan. Congratulations to Washington. You're going into the Big Ten with a lot of expectations, and I do have concern. We have the whole offseason to talk about Washington and what is their expectation going into the Big Ten. And I have concerns based off those way too early playoff 12-team predictions that people are going to be a little bit too high on Washington. I really love their head coach. Kalen DeBoer is a fantastic head coach. He has got his work cut out for him. Going into the Big Ten, it was clear they weren't physically ready at the line of scrimmage, and you're replacing a lot on the offense side of the ball. A leader in Michael Penix and a lot on that wide receiver core. So I'll be very curious on what Washington looks like next year, but we have a whole spring and summer to talk about that. Obviously, transfers could come in, so I don't want to make too many bold claims. Congratulations to Michigan. We're going to talk about Michigan next year. They have a ton of pieces on that defense. Alex Orji is going to be a really fun piece to look at to see if he's their starting quarterback and if Jim Harbaugh is the head coach. But who really cares what you do next year? You could go 7-5. You won the national title. You did what you needed to do. Congratulations to Michigan. And with that, I'm going to take a sip of this delicious body armor. Because we have gone through both of our topics, really 2.5, because I blended in the Nick Saban one. And my voice got about 15 more minutes left in me as we go through this. You know what? Let's talk NFL. We got a big old playoff slate, guys. I am so excited for this. And with that, I'm going to bring up the playoff picture. And we're going to share our screen, and you're going to see it. We're going to do a full live stream. Share screen. Yep. We're going to move this around. You know what? Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Boom, we got some really fun matchups. This is what the full slate looks like. Everyone's in, out, all this good jazz. Let's go to scores because I don't want to look at the standings. I think this will be easier to show. Perfect. All right. Watch NFL. I did not want to do that. I wanted you to be muted. I just got the worst ear. I apologize. That really hurt. that got me right in the ear. All right. Browns versus Texans, man. Browns versus Texans is really, really fun. Really fun matchup. I think this could be potentially the best game, and we get it right off the bat, 3:30 on Saturday. It's hard to compress my thoughts about Joe Flacco. You were sitting on the couch. I have a couch right there. You can see I got to do a little T-Rex thing. You got Joe Flacco sitting there. Sean Watson, millions of dollars have been wasted on Deshaun Watson so far. And I'm not going to dive into my thoughts on him, but I try to keep them short and sweet. Joe Flacco is cooking. And the aura, you guys will hear me talk about aura, but the aura this man got is insane. And you have a great defense. Like, here's the thing with backup quarterbacks that differentiate from Joe Flacco, other than the Super Bowls and all that and the talent, like the arm talent. Like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I think the best example is like, what's the difference between Joe Flacco and Carson Wentz? Other than accolades and everything. Just as a player and a mentality, yes, Carson Wentz still tries to throw and make every throw and is reckless, but he's almost kind of pulled it back just a hair. And maybe Carson Wentz isn't the best example of like I'm trying to compare of a scared backup quarterback. I guess Case Keenum, and maybe Case Keenum isn't talented enough to make every single throw. Not to say Case Keenum's not talented. Shout out, go Cougs. But a scared backup quarterback versus Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has the arm talent to make every single throw you could ask for. I mean, and he knows it. He knows he can make every throw. And he will try every single throw. That's the wild part. And you have a defense that can fix his mistakes. That's the big difference. You have a defense that can make up for the 2 picks he probably throws. It's the same thing with like the Bills and Josh Allen. It really is. Where not with the fumbles or the rushing attack, but like if you have a good enough defense that you can make up for the mistakes that the quarterback is going to make, but you also benefit from the wow throws that he makes. And we're talking about like the insane throws that Joe Flacco makes. But let's flip it to the other side. Because right now, like everything I've talked about makes you feel like this should be a Browns win. We just saw the Browns dominate the Texans. Now, you may be asking, well, who's the quarterback for the Texans? It was Case Keenum. It's a much different game. You cannot base that with fair reason because this Texans team is different when CJ Stroud is the quarterback. They are just objectively a different team. And man, are they fun. Man, are they a fun team to watch. Devin Singletary, Nico Collins, get better Tank Dell. But this team for the future is so good. And I think we're going to see a really good Stroud performance. I really do. But he has shown struggles against very tough defenses. I think of the Jets game. Now, the Jets game, they had so many people out. So to give fair context. But I think Stroud may struggle. And this clip that I'm going to put together before the game start is going to look really bad if he comes out there and just cooks his Browns team. But I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I think the Texans keep it relatively close, if not like we're deep in the fourth quarter. And CJ Stroud has like a couple drive opportunities to give them the lead. But I'm going to go with the Browns. I think the Browns are just going to really try to control the clock. And man, it's also a narrative bet. I want to see Joe Flacco in Baltimore more than I do with CJ Stroud. And that's nothing against CJ Stroud. But I think we as an NFL community need the aura of Cleveland versus Baltimore. I would love that. The script writers, I think, will love it too. And with that, we're going to talk about the next game. And I think, surprisingly, I'm going to have way less to talk about this game. I really do. I think I'm going to have way less things to talk about when we're talking about the Chiefs and the Dolphins. And with that is because I think the Chiefs win this pretty soundly. We're talking about -7-degree weather, terrible temperatures, terrible weather. And I mean, you see it on your screen. Obviously, these rankings are not the end all be all. I don't think the Dolphins have the best offense in the playoffs, but I also don't believe the Chiefs have the second best defense in the playoffs. But they have a really good one. It's just an indicator of how good they are. And the reason why I say this is I think this is an ugly game, and the Dolphins do not win ugly games. I think, yes, it's Tyreek Hill returning to Kansas City. It's super, super fun, but I think Kansas City, I don't like simplifying games like this, but we could be here all day. I think Kansas City just defensively causes so many issues for this Dolphins offense that is dealing with so many, not like you're out for the game injuries, but just injuries that hinder the flow and the momentum of the Dolphins. And I just don't see a world where Devon A-Chain and crew are able to pull enough together to where they are winning this football game in Kansas City. It's already so difficult to win in there, and the temperatures. And I think this game is built for this version of Kansas City. I don't know if Kansas City has to go into Buffalo, if they are built for that. But I think this game specifically, this wild card game, and with how broken the Chiefs offense is, it's not going to be a blowout. But this game specifically, with all the context around it, yes, it's difficult to beat a team twice, but I'm going to do it with 2 back-to-back wildcard games with the Browns, obviously, and then with the Chiefs beating the Dolphins again. The last time they played was in Germany. That was a really entertaining game, but I just think all signs point towards a Dolphins loss, and you really start to consider what's next with Tua, and that's going to be a good conversation after this weekend. Another game that we're going to dive into. Let's dive into the Steelers versus the Bills. Ugh. Talk about a game I don't want to talk about. I'll talk about it just because we're a wild card, and I can talk about whatever I want to, but I don't want to talk about this game. No TJ Watt. No TJ Watt. That's a bad man. That is not playing. He is not playing. Steelers are losing this, man. I think the Bills could throw their way into a rough game and an ugly one, and one that you're like, why are we at halftime and it's like 10-6 or 10-3? Like, why are the Steelers in striking distance? Like this, that is the one avenue that you're like, why are they lingering around? Why is Mason Rudolph and Najee Harris and Jalen Warren and George Pickens lingering in this game? But then again, the Bills, I think, are going to probably smack them. I think just this is punching up a weight class for the Steelers. Once again, just over 500. Mike Tomlin, congratulations. You continue the streak, but damn it, man. I don't like if the Steelers, pardon me, you just heard some one of my desk toys fall. The Steelers, man, what is your avenue of winning here? If you add TJ Watt, I could almost consider it. But I'm not. I'm just not. And we can move on. Like, I don't even know if this needs to be clipped up. I don't care. This is ugly. This game stinks. Why? Like, I get it. It's the noon game. So I'm going to be probably cooking up burgers and having this in the background. Or potentially, I will be at this game. I potentially could be at the Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys. And man, oh man, would that be fun. If you don't know, the Dallas Cowboys do standing room only seats. And I am just tall enough where I can potentially go to this game. Now, do I want to drive all the way out to Arlington? And I'm not going to give you any ideas on how far that is for me, but it is a distance for Arlington because it's not in Dallas. And even then, Dallas would be a drive for me. This is a very interesting game. Let's not talk about although, by the way, I need to say this. Dallas Cowboys Stadium has a burger that is straight out of Good Burger. Like the movie, what I'm talking about. They have a burger that is I have a big head. The size of my head. It's almost like it's extremely impressive. I'll be honest, it is massive. Pause. I just realized I went on a tangent that is not going to age well. But I say all this to preface with the fact that I think the Cowboys blow them out. I am a Jordan Love guy. I've been saying it since the NFL offseason that this man is going to be a top 15 quarterback. And he, in my opinion, don't get the colors confused because I'm not a Packers fan, which, by the way, we need to talk about my team in the Seattle Seahawks because Pete Carroll's gone. And that might be a live stream in of itself because I will go down a rabbit hole that we are going to blink, and I have not talked about the Dallas Cowboys and the Packers. But I say all this to say the Packers are such a fun story. Jaden Reed is so much fun. They have turned, when they are on fire, and I've watched the All-22 film of Jordan Love. He's so much fun. He's just a fun quarterback to watch when he is on. When he's off, it's you're an XFL legend waiting to happen. But man, if he starts really turning it up and doesn't have a Trevor Lawrence year next year, man, he's going to be so good. I'm sorry, he's going to be he's going to be annoyingly good at the sport of football. But I think his first taste of playoffs, and I think Dallas Cowboys. Now, one thing, listen, I'm a TMZ guy. I want the drama. Maybe Dan Quinn, a little bit. Got the side eye for the Seahawks job. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Maybe he's not as prepared. But if I were to guess, think this is not where the Cowboys choke. This is not the game that they choke. I understand what Aaron Rodgers has done to most franchises. Now, specifically with the Cowboys in Dallas Cowboys Stadium, or Jerry's World as they call it, has left a lot of memories. Objectively, just a lot of memories. Bad or good, I'm leaving that for you to decide, but a lot of memories. Maybe this is Jordan Love's opportunity to do that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think the Cowboys win this. I think they do it in dominating fashion. I think it's fun for about a half. And the Cowboys just kind of chip away. But, them at home has been so dominating. And I don't think this is the game that they end up choking. But by every means, Packers, if you're a Packers fan, you're playing with house money. Throw the kitchen sink at them. See where you can do. See what you can do. Do a Jaden Reed pop pass, reversal, just screen throw. I don't care. Throw a bunch of adjectives together, call it a play, and try it. I don't give a Nikes. Hey, almost did it. But with that being said, I think it's a blowout. Great job by the Packers this year. Fantastic work. They deserve all the praise for being the youngest team, I think, to ever make the playoffs. But anyway, man. Oh, man. Stafford's coming home. Stafford is going home in a playoff game. LA Rams versus the Detroit Lions. Do I really need to say much about this game other than the fact that, oh my God, we get to actually watch this happen? The fact they made this Sunday Night Football is just so good. So good. This is a high-scoring game waiting to happen. Waiting. You have an experienced team. Stafford leaves LA, or leaves the Lions. I don't have to explain it. If you are watching this, the stakes. The quarterback swap happened just 2 years ago. So let's talk about what we're expecting on the field, because everyone's talking about the narratives. I'm a narrative guy. I'm an aura guy. There's aura with this game. People already know it. Frank's red hot. I don't need the ad, but we're going to live with it. With that being said, we're going to talk about the actual game, because I think it's getting lost just a little bit. Just a little bit. People are getting a little bit too much into the weeds of the narratives, and I do want to talk about the game. It's going to be high scoring. No Sam Laporta. No Sam Laporta. By the way, do not blame Dan Quinn for that. Let's be clear. I would not blame Dan Quinn for the Sam Laporta loss. If you know the context and why they were playing their starters, you would understand it is just unfortunate luck. Jordan Travis injured his leg in a game that he probably didn't even need to play. It's just unfortunate. Injuries suck. They just suck. And Sam Laporta getting hurt the way they did sucks. And it's a factor in this game because he was a great option for Jared Goff in this play action heavy offense. And Jared Goff in a dome is a baller. At home, he is a baller. So you're going to probably get the best version of Jared Goff, and you're probably going to get the best version of Stafford. And I'm taking Stafford. But I think there's other factors to consider. I think that the defenses are both just bend, don't break, opportunistic, if you may want to be really, really nice. I think all signs point towards a Rams upset, and I could see the world, but there is something to be said about how loud Ford Field is going to be. I mean, for both entrances, when Stafford steps on the field and when that Lions team steps on the field, both of them are going to be loud. And this is, in my opinion, game of the week. I don't want to pick on this. I just want to enjoy it. Sometimes in football, we kind of forget to not enjoy things. Let's enjoy it. Objectively, let's enjoy it here. Even, you know what? Just let me add to the title. We're doing NFL Wildcard. Throwing that in the title. I'm going with the Lions. I want them to get their first playoff win in a very, very long time. But damn it, if the football god said, you win your division, we're going to give you Matthew Stafford in your own home turf. And man, is that just a gut punch if you're the Lions. Just kind of sitting there and being like, we just did something that we haven't done in God knows how long. And you got to go make us beats. If you never watched it, there's a YouTuber that does a fantastic live show, and he's a diehard Detroit sports fan. Motown Noah. If you want to see true passion from a Detroit fan and an authentic feeling of what this game means to him and what the Lions, and really if you just like seeing authentic fan interactions, the Coping Hour is a very, very good show. And with that, this game, you could see just the mental toll of if I want my favorite team to win, I have to beat my favorite player. That's crazy. That's crazy. I think this is going to be one of the best games of all season. I hope it's one of the best games of the entire season. But I think the Lions pull it out. A lot of people are on the Rams. I'm going to flip to the other side. I think the Lions, even without Sam Laporta, managed to pull it out. And the last game of the day. Last game of the day. A lot of people are on Tampa. A lot of people like Tampa. Do I like Tampa? I don't know. I was with the Baker train. We're talking about aura, Baker Mayfield. Woo! That's some aura. The team that lost all of its aura. Eagles 11-6. If you told me that 2 months ago, I kind of would look at you and say Jalen Hurts got hurt and they ran with Marcus Mariota and limped their way here. But no, they limped their way on their own. Brian Johnson. Potentially looking elsewhere. Nick Sirianni, kind of looking like a mascot. Don't want to be disrespectful, but I am. Talking about two very different teams and very different positions. And Tampa just was not able to move the ball on the Panthers in a game like back-to-back weeks. Like, I understand a lot of people are on the Buccaneers, a lot of them. And let's be honest, Jalen Hurts did not play good in that last Monday night game. When these two had to face each other, Baker and Jalen Hurts did not play good. DeAndre Swift, I specifically remember, ran, I think, for like 130, if not more. And that's the reason why they won that game. It was being able to just run inside zone down their throat regardless. And I understand a lot of people are very much high on Tampa because of that brief stint. But the past 2 weeks, they had an opportunity against the Saints, did not get the job done. And they got the job done against the Panthers, but did not look good. 9-0. I wish I had a little bit more confidence on that. I think a lot of people are looking at the trajectories of these two teams. They're looking at the Bucs. They see them going like this, and they're like, they're just going to keep going. And the Eagles are way, way down. They just lost. Like, they pulled their starters at halftime because they were getting smacked by the Giants, who have fired a good majority of their staff the day after. And they were getting smacked 24-0, I think, going into half, and pulled all their starters. If there was a time for them to bounce back, it'd be now. I mean, they've had plenty of times before. I'm going to go with Philadelphia because everyone is going with the Buccaneers. Everyone. And I understand there's a lot of opportunities for upsets. Like the Rams one, I'm fine if I'm wrong with that pick. Because that's a coin toss. I might even go with the Rams now. But I'm not, because I said the lines, and that's going to get clipped up later. I see the route with the Rams. I see a very weird route with the Packers. I see one with the Cleveland one, because I have Cleveland winning that one, even though that technically isn't really an upset, but it is. I see those routes. I don't see it with Buffalo and Pittsburgh. I don't see it with Miami and Kansas City, and I don't really see it here. But then again, this Philadelphia team doesn't really like bend to the usual rules. And it's just overall a weird fall off. And the fall off, and I say weird as if I don't know the answer. It's a high school offense. The offense is stiff. And that's not just trying to use like an analogy or a phrase. It's just they don't move. The defense is reeling. If Baker comes out hot, maybe am I talking myself into the Buccaneers winning it? Am I really doing that right now? I am. I'm going with the Buccaneers. I'm flipping my pick last minute. I think the Buccaneers win this game. I hope the Eagles lose because you know what? It'd be great content. As someone that sits in front of this camera and talks to this mic, it would be great content. And I also just love watching Eagles fans melt down because they were so confident 2 months ago. They were so confident. The things they were saying about Deebo Samuel was just so good. So good. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to pick the upset. Give me the Buccaneers. And with that, I was going to talk about the coaching stuff for the NFL. I mean, I could throw out my take about the Seahawks. I think the Pete Carroll thing is good. I really do. I think the Pete Carroll move off fire situation is really good for the team. I mean, just think about it like this. If they are going with a new quarterback and Pete Carroll is the guy that you want to bring on with that head coaching job, Pete, I think mentally he probably had like 2-3 years. And with that, you bring on a guy, maybe he only had like a year left in the tank. And he sits there and he's like, I was going to go into retirement after 2024. 2025, we're going to bring in someone new, but we already had a quarterback. You're forcing a new system onto them. Maybe they just knew they were going with a quarterback this year and said, you know what, we're going to bring in a whole new regime. So everything is new with this quarterback, even if you go with Dan Quinn, which is still some familiarity with the program. I'm saying program and organization, but like at least you are setting the new expectation with whoever you bring in, because I think it's clear as day you got to bring in someone at the quarterback position. You could take a swing at the highest potential guy or trade up to go get someone, but someone has to come in, because I love Geno. I appreciate everything he did, but he reset the timeline because Pete was on his way out for other reasons. At least this time it's a lot more mutual. He still has a position with the program, but like in 2021, man, were we out on him. I say we, a good chunk of Seahawks fans were done with him and wanted to move on. And at least this time it's a lot more mutual, but you got to bring in a different quarterback if you want to raise the ceiling of this team, because objectively there's a lot of things to like about this team. It's just you have a bridge quarterback that is your current solution, and it's time to take a swing, reset that timeline, bring in a rookie contract, move off of some of the bigger pieces on this team, and you really can get the ball rolling back up in the Northwest. Go Hawks. With that being said, we are 55 minutes in, guys. 10 minutes over. I appreciate everyone watching. Rush the field. If you like what you see, you like what I'm doing, you like what I'm talking about, leave a like, leave a sub. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Go Hawks. Gigamags. Woo!